Well, hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Royal We live on Monday night. I'm not looking at the screen right now. I am actually looking into what I'm looking into the computer right now so I can get some music on here going for Tanya. How's it going, Tanya? And man, everybody's already on board here. It looks like there's a lot of people already signed on. 11 of you. Hot on the keyboard, first to like again. Whoop, whoop. Great video done today, Kevin. Hey, thank you, D. I appreciate that. You know what's interesting? I'm going to share this story with you because you are the Royal We family. I'm so thankful that you're here. And I just want to tell you something just between you and me. That video that I put together, and I'm doing it while I'm trying to find the song here for Tanya and for everybody else. My goodness, I should have had the song already loaded and ready to go. I'm playing the my song that I made from a different computer, a different little laptop, and sometimes I have to go on iTunes and find it. Here we go, and we're ready to rock and roll right now. Here you go. Yeah, welcome to the Royal We live on a Monday night, and I'm so happy that you all are here right now. We're going to be talking about all kinds of good stuff when it comes to healing from narcissistic abuse. We are here for you. This is the night where you get to call in, ask questions, participate in the community of the Royal We Live members here, and just have a time of community, time of chatting it up, right? Now, for those of you who saw the Royal We video that I posted earlier this morning on Mother's Day, it was a day behind. It should have been posted on Mother's Day, but I waited until the day after. And it worked out. I really hope you enjoyed it. Now, the video style itself was very simple compared to what I was trying to do before with all kinds of creativity. What's interesting about it is that it was a whole lot quicker to get it done. I talked, I chopped up some of it, and because I can really ramble, as most of you know who are here watching, the Royal We has a host, that's me, that can really ramble, but I chopped it up and put that white background on it and called it a day, and I was able to edit that and upload it all last night, just within a matter of a couple of hours. And I did some tags and whatnot on it, but what's interesting is that it came out fairly good. The response was good, very simple, and this and that, and yeah, it just gets me thinking, Royal We family, I don't know, you tell me, when it comes to content on narcissistic abuse, and I'm talking to all of you, Dee and Tanya, Wendy, everybody else, Mike Wilson, all of you who are here, when it comes to content on dealing with narcissism, right? Here's the question that I have for you. This is where you can really be a help for me. What is more important? Content that is just constantly put out that has to do with narcissism, right? And those of you know, I can ramble. I have no problem turning a camera on and just talking. Or creative, or at least in my case, attempts to be creative, but more delayed videos because I'm trying to put creative thought and energy into a stylistic approach to delivering a message. You tell me, as the stable Royal We family, I imagine you're all like my brothers and sisters, everybody in this room, right? You are your family to me. And so I would just come to you like I probably would any family members, and you know what I mean, and say, listen, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And this is what I want you as a family to help me out. Should I continue to pursue creativity when I'm in crafting a message, because there's a part of me that enjoys doing that? Or is it at this point in my life, and with the way in which this message is delivered and the way in which people receive a message about narcissistic abuse, should I just keep it simple and just deliver a message and put the content out there so that people can get something from it? Yeah, it's something I think about. I'd be interested to hear what you all would have to say about that. Quality over quantity. Wendy G, my girl. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what I think. You know. Now I understand that. Let's see. D says content question. It's more important the content than the production. Occasionally, a creative flair is good because it grabs attention. Right. Do it all the time, and it might be less content. I think you're right with that too, D. I have found that Denny May says a mix of both. I like that too. I found that with my particular videos that there goes the music. All right, there you go, Tanya. I had to have that in for Tanya and for D. I found that with the type of message that I'm talking about that I feel led to give, one of two things happens. I have not yet been able to successfully, in my own personal opinion, and I'm very hard on myself. I just am. I don't know. I've always been kind of hard on myself with these things, but I have yet to be able to find the good marriage between creative content creating and message content creating. It's a very difficult message, and it's a very difficult balance, and I'll tell you why. Because they conflict with each other. All right. So for example, when I just turn on a camera and I'm talking to you, like I'm talking to you right now, I'm just pouring my heart out. And if I turn the camera on and I start talking about Mother's Day, for example, I'm just pouring my heart out about my thoughts on Mother's Day and how we deal with that when it comes to understanding toxic relationships. And so I just talk and I get it out, and it ends up being an effective message. Now, when you're doing creative content and you're trying to get shots and you're trying to get drone shots, and I love all that stuff, but that takes a completely different thought process. I can't focus on a message because I'm too focused on lighting and where's the sun at and what's the lighting look like and how fast should I go and what's this shot going to look like and what's that shot going to look like and how's it going to come together in the whole video. And then on top of that, then it's, well, how does the message fit in? And so what ultimately happens with some of those videos is that it ends up kind of a chopped up hodgepodge of creativity with somewhat of a message. And I can see how for some people it would turn them off because they just like the flow of a conversation, right? When you come out of narcissistic abuse and you're trying to understand the healing process, you just want the comforting affirmation. You want a flowing message. You want it to make sense. And so I have yet been able to find that perfect marriage of creativity with the message to where the message flows, but the creativity is also there. And I am working hard on it for you. And it's very hard, you know. I want to keep trying. So Darylyn says creativity is good. Being human to relay a message is more relatable at times. Yeah, I find that too. D says do both. I agree. I'm going to keep doing both. It must be hard to concentrate on all of that at once. It's very hard, Wendy. It is very hard. Like I said, if I can turn on a camera and do a video and knock it out like I did with this Mother's Day one real quick, or I can go out and try to figure out some shots and get some drone footage and figure out then how I'm going to put that as a part of a message, and it takes a lot longer. Regina says sometimes when just talking, there's a real meaning that comes through. Yeah, and I sense that too, and I agree with you. I feel the meaning when I just turn on the camera and I'm just talking. I feel like, you know, I'm really just flowing. I'm venting what's inside of me, and it seems natural. Not able to do that when I'm doing creative work because everything has to be written out, and I try my best to kind of draw out the shots ahead of time, and that already chops up the message, if you know what I mean. Because then when I go out, I'm focusing on making sure that I'm getting that shot and that, you know, and that part of the message. It's difficult. Doggone it. Why can't things be easy, Royal We family? You know what I'm saying? I wish we could all just have easy street. Everything could be easy for us, but it's not. Life is hard. Life is hard, and I know that all of you know that. So let's get on with today's message, and I believe that what I would like to talk with you about today and this evening. Shadow says, I'm not going to complain. I get it by being here. Awesome. Awesome. So glad that you're all here. And so I am glad that you watched the video on Mother's Day. I appreciate that. Again, it's, the whole concept behind it, my thoughts anyways, behind it, the Mother's Day video is going to be similar to a video I'm going to probably put out around Christmas time too, dealing with the same thing. And that is, we have to be careful not to give these days so much importance in our life that it really drags us down. I mean, if I could summarize the video, that's what it is. Because many of us don't have the relationship with our moms or our dads or our siblings that we can celebrate on these days. My mom is gone. She passed away a long time ago, so I definitely don't have that anymore. Now, I have my wife, right, which and my family, which I can celebrate on Mother's Day. But again, I would rather strive to celebrate that relationship every day. You know what I mean? And so that's what really got me thinking about this particular idea when it comes to Mother's Day. And the social media really gets people wrapped up. I turned on Facebook for a little bit and I saw so many people showing their pictures of their moms and flowers. And that's great. Good for them. But I can really imagine that for a lot of people, it kind of, I don't get to do that with my mom because we don't have a good relationship, and it's hard. It's hard. So that was the concept behind that video. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about tonight, and this has come from a couple of the appointments that I've had recently. And which, by the way, I do take one-on-one appointments. You can find out more about the appointments by visiting www.jointheroyalwe.com, the website. You can schedule some one-on-one time there. I do FaceTime, and surprisingly, a lot of people like to do the FaceTime appointments. If you are an Apple user, we can chat face-to-face over Apple, and so that's a really cool thing. And it says Skype on the website, but it's actually FaceTime. So one of the things that I've been coming across is that it seems a lot of people are still, what people are trying to do is stack up evidence against a narcissist in order to justify getting out of the relationship. And this is true with any toxic relationship. Typically, when I talk with people, it's with a husband or a wife situation. Or an intimate relationship, but this is true for any relationship. And what they'll do is start to pinpoint all these things. Well, here's an example, and they said this and they did that, and then they'll keep going on. And what about this? What isn't this reason to leave and this and that? And I have to stop and I say, wait a minute. Here's the thing. This is true with marriages, but I remind them of the reality that the marriage, if because a lot of people are hung up on this thing called the grounds for separation. Right, especially for those of you who go to church and you're believers in your faith, and you believe that you have to have these certain grounds for separation, and there's some truth to that, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to be known as the person who, well, I just want to leave because I just don't, not happy anymore. How many of you saw, by the way, on that note, how many of you have ever seen Mrs. Doubtfire? Okay, the movie Miss Doubtfire is a perfect example of what I would say is a narcissistic, in the movie, a narcissistic woman. Okay, now follow me on this. Let's see if you can remember the movie. It's kind of a comedy, but it's actually extremely sad and depressing when you take into consideration what's actually happening. The woman, the wife, the mother in the family, does not want Robin Williams' character, the husband, around anymore. Not only does she not want him around in the marriage, and she gives no reason. There's no indication in the movie that he was a cheater, that he was on drugs. The only indication is that he fell into some kind of a funk, and I guess he didn't make her laugh anymore. That's all we can get from the story, from the movie. But that aside, she doesn't want him in their lives. and makes it so difficult and just kind of not caring about him. She shows that she doesn't care about his time with the kids. She shows up early to take the kids out of his apartment when they're eating dinner, and he gets mad in this scene and he says, "Doggone it, you're my kids too." And she just takes the kids. She doesn't care. He has to dress up as a woman. He's actually quite creative and in the character in the movie, a creative guy, dresses up as a woman, Mrs. Doubtfire, so that he can babysit his own kids because he feels like he's been reduced to that's all he can do. And in the process, he even got close to his ex-wife who didn't know it was him. And that's when they had the conversation where he says, what was, as Mrs. Doubtfire, what was wrong in the relationship? And her response was, I don't know. I just used to laugh and, I just stopped laughing. I just stopped loving, I guess, and it's just, and then when I look at the pain, and then afterwards, when she found out that it was him and they went to court and man, her and the judge made him cry, saying that he's a danger to the kids and this. I'm like, man, that is how narcissism works. And in this case, in the movie, that woman is a classic example of a covert narcissist. She just got bored in the relationship, wanted out, and could care less. Until the end, she did not care if the father was in the kid's life or not. That's what I got out of that movie. It was really the kids that pushed her and said, we miss Mrs. Doubtfire. We miss Dad. That's when she went and talked to the judge in the movie. Reduce the sentencing because the judge was going to have, him not. Anyways, the judge was going to have him not be able to see the kids at all. So anyways, I watched that movie not too long ago. I was just like beyond floored at how they painted that picture. And I don't know if they realized that they were making that woman out to look just like an absolute horrible, despicable human being. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if that was accident. I don't know if they thought people would catch on to it or not. But that's what I saw when I watched that movie. Got me all emotional. Yeah, Chris says, I think it's because he didn't have a job. That's why. Or that it wasn't consistent. Yeah. Yeah, Mike. Mike sees, yeah, but even so, Chris, I mean, is that reason to kick a man out and not try to not have him have a relationship with the kids? Doggone you. You don't have a job? Get out of here. You don't make me laugh anymore because you don't have a job. I'm sick of you. I don't want you anymore. I mean, that's just kind of terrible. Terrible story if you think about it. The only good part of that movie was, again, his efforts. That's what made his character and the efforts that he made real sad. But the good news in that is ultimately his character landed him just a sweet deal. He became a new TV personality by the end of the movie, educating children and stuff. And so I think ultimately he won. He became stronger and he won, and he was able to have a relationship with his kids. And who knows what was going to happen to that mom. But man, what a sad movie. Yeah, Wendy. Go right on, Wendy. Now, anyways, yeah, horror movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. It was a horror movie. Now, but anyways, that was a side note completely. I don't even know why I was talking about that. The reality is, what I want to share with you all is that when you're in an abusive relationship, though, one of the commonalities I see when I talk with people is that they're trying to stack up a bunch of things, a bunch of reasons to justify why they're not happy in the relationship. And when it comes down to it, I ask them one question, and that is, have you been abandoned in the relationship? Are you abandoned as an individual? In other words, do your thoughts matter in the marriage or in the relationship? Do you have an opportunity to say what you need to say? Are you cared for? Are you concerned about? Or are you just demeaned and devalued and criticized in the relationship? Because if you are, then you've been abandoned in the marriage. And it's possible to be abandoned by somebody who is still living there. Okay, do you all follow me? It is possible in a relationship to be abandoned by the person, yet they're still physically present. And this is what we see with narcissism. Narcissists abandon you, but still want to be in your presence, and they want you in their presence. But they abandon you emotionally. They abandon you as acknowledging you as a person, a human being with feelings, with thoughts, with ideas, and with a need to vent or anything like that. They abandon you. So the reason I say this is important is because abandonment is grounds for separation. You have to imagine, if a person abandons you, that means they're gone. So if a spouse or a family member has abandoned you emotionally or mentally, that means they've left you. It's the same thing. They've left you behind. You can imagine it as if they left. Even though they're still physically present, they left you. They put you on the doorstep of somebody else to be someone else's responsibility as far as taking care of anything you need, and they've left you. Okay? And once you get this and you see this and these people said, wow, that makes sense. And then after that, you no longer need to justify, right? I don't need to start counting all the reasons and the times they called me names and the fact that they don't do anything. I don't need to count. That's right. I am abandoned. I feel very alone. If you feel alone, it's because you've been abandoned in the relationship and they're not there anymore. Abandonment is grounds for divorce. How many of you know that? If a spouse abandons the marriage, there's no relationship. There is no marriage. That's grounds for divorce. And so I help people to understand that. And it's a difficult one. I'll be honest with you. I never in my life thought that I would be on phone calls talking to people about the possibility of divorce. I've always been so against it ever since my dad and mom divorced when I was just a little kid. And I grew up just thinking, man, when I'm never going to promote divorce because I saw the pain and the suffering my mom went through because somebody always gets hurt. And I always bring this up when I talk to people. Listen, if you make this decision, one, I can't make the decision for anybody who calls. I just don't. I don't make that decision. I can't do that. But I help people understand their thoughts and their feelings, and I help them articulate it a little bit better so that they're not trying to stack up all this evidence and all this justification. And typically when people call, it's because they're looking for validation or justification. And I typically say, listen, you don't need me to validate this. You don't need me or anybody else to justify. I know you want that, all right? But the reality is that this is a time in which you get to stand up, set boundaries, and be the grown adult, the proactive adult that you have been born to be, okay? And make a decision that's going to be best for your mental, emotional health, right? I'm not talking about the Miss Doubtfire woman. And I do my best to make sure whenever I'm talking to somebody on the phone, an appointment, I clear all that up. You know, I do my best to make sure, okay, listen, are you sure that the relationship is bad, or are you just unhappy, you know, for other reasons? Are you unhappy because you're not laughing as much? Are you unhappy because and typically it's no, I'm demeaned, devalued, embarrassed. I'm left behind. I'm left alone a lot, right? And once we establish this, then we're able to get into the okay. You've been abandoned by somebody who physically is there, probably because it's functional, right? So a narcissist will be living with you and have you around because it's functional, right? Maybe you pay bills together, so it makes sense. It's functional. But other than that, the relationship is abandoned. And if it's abandoned, then you don't need anybody's validation. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need to make the best decision that you can make for your own mental and emotional well-being. So I wanted to share with y'all. Well, I'm drinking my tea. How are you all doing? How's everybody doing tonight? Any questions, any comments, any phone calls? The telephone number is up and going right behind me. And I would love to hear from any one of you. Or you can ask questions. My headphones keep going out. You can ask some questions on the chat room. Any thoughts or questions about things concerning today? Narcissism in the world that's going on around us today. What have been some of your thoughts about everything that's going on? Incompatible. That's the excuse for splitting now. even if you've been married for 20 plus years. No fault. Some states do that, others don't. Yeah, incompatible. That's and it's probably uh I would say the incompatible. A marriage has to be just labeled as incompatible. I would say we live in a an age where perhaps being incompatible might be a good. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. I typically just go on the biblical thing. The Bible says when you're married, if you're going to be married and make a promise and a commitment under oath to God and to people, then the biblical way of understanding what qualifies or what constitutes a separation or a divorce would be the infidelity, the adultery, an affair. That's an automatic no. I mean, once the marriage bed's defiled, that marriage is over, right? There's really no going back. You can try all you want, you can get counseling, but that's always going to be a piece of the soul that's just been ripped out. It's missing, and that's not coming back. So many levels and layers of trust are destroyed in that. That's bad news. The other one is abandonment. Biblically speaking, abandonment of the marriage can end the marriage, right? Abandonment is so if someone abandons the marriage. The gray area, though, is understanding, well, what's abandonment mean? Obviously, like we talked about, physically leaving and not coming back, that's abandonment. But also being there, but abandoning the person mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, right? Abandoning the relationship, that's abuse, right? And biblically, abuse is not tolerated, period, end, right? So that can get you out of the marriage as well. Man. So yeah. Absolutely. But we live in such a weird time, y'all. I was watching I'm not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. D asked a question earlier. What was it? Why isn't Father's Day as difficult as Mother's Day concerning narcissistic relationships? I'm not sure I understand the question. I think that when it comes to understanding celebrating Father's Day, I think it's the same. Like I said in the video, I don't need a Father's Day to get cards and candy and golf trips or whatever. I don't. I'd rather live a life with my family, with my kids, and with people I know, to where it's living like a celebration of who we are all the time, right? I'm not going to sit around and wait for a day like Father's Day. So I don't know if that's what you mean. I don't think Father's Day is any different than Mother's Day in that regard. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's a necessary thing. If it's not as difficult of a day, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, D. I hope that answers your question. All right. Let's see, what else do we have here? Any other questions? Any other things to talk about with the Royal We family? Yeah, I see people talking about masks. Rosario says, lost my brother on Easter Monday. I find a lot of rejection from my family. I feel abandoned. That's hard. That's really hard. Well, we'll keep you in thoughts and in prayers in as far as that goes. Yeah. I see some people talking about wearing masks. I just found out today that in St. Louis, we are going to be required to wear a mask starting next week, which is really, really wild, because here I thought we were at the tail end of this thing, but it seems like they're just hitting us with something more. It's like there's people out there who want to continue to make this thing go on and on and on. And they're going to keep saying, okay, we're going to free it up, or the cases look better. Oh, no, psych. We want you all to wear masks starting next week. We got a phone call from Australia. You're live on the Royal We.
Hi, it's Jay from Australia. How you going?
I'm doing good. You're live. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. I was just listening to what you were saying about after, well, I've been no contact for over a year now,
With who?
and this is with family members,
Okay.
particularly I think my mother is the hierarchy because there's normally like a hierarchy in the family.
Right. Right.
But, just listening to what you were saying, I think after having my bum kicked for so long,
Hmm.
after time, you want to gather all your information about them, and you want to sort of pinpoint where it's coming from. That's what you want to do. It's like a booting in your brain. You really want to find out why it happened. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. Right.
Like a shattered mirror. You just can't get all the pieces together without
That's right.
getting hurt.
Hmm.
But I think I feel sorry for the person that was in contact with you, that trying to gather all the pieces together. I think I'm well past that now,
Yeah.
and just feel such freedom. But I do remember that time, and it's really, really hard. It keeps you pegged,
Right.
and you
Right.
can't move forward. So it's very sad to hear
It is hard.
that, and it reminds me.
One of the things that we talked about in the phone conversation was that abusive relationships, narcissistic abuse, even domestic violence, domestic abuse. It's not new. Okay, we're not. A lot of people think that narcissism and narcissistic abuse is new. We're on this new wave, experiencing new elevated narcissistic abuse, and that's not true. That's not true.
No,
Narcissistic abuse has been here on this earth since the day that Cain and Abel were written about in the oldest ancient stories of the Bible. That's how old
that's
narcissistic
right.
abuse is, because as we know in that story, Cain rose up and killed his own brother out of a fit of jealousy and rage and bitterness.
I
Narcissistic and
certainly relate to that,
yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah, narcissistic, psychopathic. So all that stuff, and so it's always existed. We've always been intertwined with it. We've always lived in the same world with this mentality. Um, we went through a period of time where, like my mom and my grandparents, there was funny stuff going on in the family, but it was
Mm.
so hush hush. Nobody said
Oh,
anything
yeah,
about it, right? If somebody was
that's,
abused, it was just kept quiet. And so
that's right.
where I think the awakening is today is not that we're discovering abuse for the first time, but we're discovering
Mm.
that we don't have to put up with it. That's what the
That's right. Just
what that's what the awakening is. And it doesn't matter if it's your mom or your dad or your grandpa or your brother or your husband or whomever. I'm out.
mm,
I'm out. It's
that's right.
done. It's
I
done. You're not going to
think
treat
it's
me like that.
to something like
I'm not living in your old school house of we sweep things under the rug. No, we're done. And
I think listening to about yourself and educating yourself, that so helps, because you do feel so alone, because you've been taught to do and say and be, and not
yeah,
look beyond the family, stay in that small world, and not
right.
reach out. And yeah, so I feel so sorry for people that are obviously in the beginning of getting out of a relationship, and they keep you want to justify it, you want to, but some things like narcissism really don't make sense. So there's no way to get these pieces together to make the sense. You've just got to
No,
educate yourself so
that's
you
it.
can look back in,
Right.
from the outside on the people. But while you're still heavy with the dark clouds, it's very hard to look
Right.
back in. So educating, listening to yourself, someone like yourself, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And also not staying too stuck. I think when you find yourself sort of thinking about things too much, you've really got to stop and breathe and go, okay, one step in front of the other, and stop thinking too deeply. And
Right. Yeah.
So much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, yeah, what you were saying about your people that you were talking to, all I can say is, yeah, what you're saying, one step in front of the other, and educating yourself. I mean, people that have narcissistic abuse put on them, they weren't, it's not something you want put onto you, and you don't make it happen to you. It's just,
right.
Unfortunately, it's a part of this world.
That's it.
That we live in.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's a part of this world. And we need to, at some point, learn to start accepting that. And I believe that when we can start to accept that, okay, there's abusive people out there. And it could very well be the next person that's dating me. So what's the responsibility in that? Well, our responsibility is to look for that, look for the clues, learn to be patient with ourselves and with other people, especially when it comes to making relationships, and slowly go into relationships.
I have found that, it takes a while for me to trust these days, but that's all good too. It's all good. It's taking baby steps with relationships and new friends and that sort of thing. That's all good though. That's, rounding off the edges and keep moving forward.
Yep. That's it. Well, I'm glad you called.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
You're doing a terrific job. Great God's work.
Thank you. Thank you for calling from Australia. Appreciate you.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Love that call from Australia. Thank you so much. Kevin, William asks, Kevin is bipolar disorder, oftentimes mistaken for what's PBD? What is PBD? I don't even know what PBD is. Personality bipolar disorder? William. Yeah, so, well, I'm not sure exactly what PBD is. Maybe it's okay, so BPD could be bipolar or it could be borderline personality disorder. I'm not sure. But here's the thing, William, to answer your question, there's a whole spectrum of different mental health classifications under the cluster B. That's what they call them, cluster B personality types, right? And so in that you have narcissism, you have bipolar, you have borderline, you have histrionic, you have, all of these. And the reality is under cluster B, they're all bad. Cluster B personality types, it's not good. So whether it's narcissistic or bipolar or borderline, you're in for it. I mean, they show themselves in different ways, okay, but it's still personality disorder. Most cluster Bs have personality disorder. And when we talk about narcissistic abuse, what I typically try to do is use narcissistic abuse as an umbrella, okay? And really the type of abuse that we're talking about, whether it's the fighting, name-calling, devaluing, all this and that, I put that under narcissistic abuse when in reality it should be under just cluster B, and it's all bad. There's no difference. The only thing to think about is, do you want to tolerate that in your life or not? We got a telephone call. You're live on the Royal We.
Me?
Yes. Hi, you're live.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I was live. I watched your videos and there was a number at the end of one of them and I had screenshotted it, so I did not know I was going to be live. But that's okay. Hi.
You caught us on our live Monday night chat on Join the Royal We, which is a separate YouTube channel. It's called Join the Royal We. And yeah, you can check it out every Monday night. We're live starting at 9:00 p.m. and we usually go to around 10. And I take phone calls typically. And this is really the only time I take phone calls unless you schedule an appointment. And so you're more than welcome to chat. There's a small community of us here, and we all learn together, and it's a great thing.
Okay. Well, so I'm just having a really hard time because I was with this guy, and I had been waiting like since I got saved, basically, I was gonna not have sex till marriage, so it was 5 years.
Okay.
And then I met this guy, and he said all these amazing things to me, and and then of course it all fell apart, and it was very classic narcissism cycle. Right. But I'm having a really hard time with my brain and heart accepting that somebody that I really believed and thought cared about me completely didn't at all. And it was within 2 days from he loved me forever to he met a new girl that he was in love with that day, and didn't say anything to me about it, just posted all over social media this is my new girl, and then blocked me and didn't say anything to me. And it's just he would I was convinced we were he did all the soulmate stuff, and
right.
And I just feel how did I wait so long to give my whole heart to somebody that didn't care about me at all? And then on top of that, I don't understand why he did it in such a mean way, because there was nothing contentious that ever happened between us. And I'm just I've been fine for a week, and it just all caught up with me today, and I just started panicking, and then I remembered your number, and I called you.
Well, listen, we'll get through this. How old are you, hon, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm old. I'm 39, and I've never been married, and I'm a mom. I have a 7-year-old.
Okay, so you're not a virgin though, prior to this relationship. Okay.
No. But I had been
when you said you were waiting, when you said you were waiting your whole life for this one moment, I thought that this was your first experience, and that's why I wanted to find out. Okay, but now still, it doesn't matter, because it's still very hurtful. It's still very painful, especially being a single mom, and you want to make sure that you understand how valuable you are, right, as a woman, and how beautiful you are as a woman, and how you deserve to have a good man who's going to really be there for you, who's really going to love you, who's really going to support you. And that's the man that you want in your life, right? And the goal is to hold out for that person, right? Yeah. That's the goal. And what happens in these relationships, and you're not the first and you're not the last, this happens on a daily basis, is these guys come in like bums, right? And they come squatting in on your territory, making all the promises in the world that they're going to take care of you, that they're going to love you. But really what they're only after is that really easy, quick fix, okay? And a lot of times they will prey on, and when I say prey, meaning they will really lay it on thick on single moms, for example, okay? This is typical. And the reason is because they feel there's an element of loneliness there, that need for support, okay? And really they just want that quick fix. They want to get that. Their goal is to get your pants down as fast as possible, okay? And I don't know how long you were dating for. How long were you dating for?
It was 2.5 months altogether, but we I waited a month before we did.
Okay, that is not long at all.
No, I know, but I know that's why I feel so stupid.
Right, but yeah, no, that is not long. 2 months is you don't even start to even know somebody, right? Until 6 months into a relationship, that's starting to know somebody. And so, but here's the thing. It's not about coming down on you, because what I want to let you know, right? Obviously, you're calling because you're hurt. You are not a narcissistic individual, so don't think in that terms. You're highly empathic, and I could tell because you're hurt and you understand something very important, that you played a role in this relationship that really messed you up. That right there is evidence. You're not narcissistic. You're highly empathic. You realize that you allowed this person in. You didn't get to know them. You took on what they said. And listen, I know you go to church, and so the Bible tells us plain, in plain written scriptures, it says, watch out for the smooth talkers. They will pour honey on you with their lips, but they're putting a snare under your feet. It's a trap. It's a trap, and that's how we have to start living our lives. It's it's hard to look at it this way, but we do have to walk around in our encounters now with kind of one eye open going, okay, what's the trap? What do you want? You're coming on kind of hard. You know what I mean? And you don't, listen, you can be the most beautiful woman in the world, and you can acknowledge that. And you can be like, okay, yeah, dude, I know I'm a hot mom. I know. But what do you want? You think you're going to just chat with me for 2 months and you're going to get what you want? Is that what you're here for? Right? And but I think it's important for you to understand that during this time, listen, you are forgiven. Okay? That's important for you to know. That you are forgiven, that you're redeemable. All right? It's not, don't worry about that. The guilt and the shame that comes with knowing that, you know, I got involved in this relationship with somebody I had no business being with, doing things I had no business doing, going places I had no business going. So you're forgiven of that, right? And it's hurtful, it's painful, but let's allow these hurts and these pains to be a reminder as we go on that we can continue to allow these predators, because that's what he was. He was just a predator. We can allow these predators with their smooth talk to come in, make us laugh, make us giggle. Okay, can I get your pants down now? I made you laugh, right? We can continue falling for that, or we can say, no, we're better than that. There's a real man out there, right? And I've got to hold out for that once I identify who and what that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think but I think today what's really hitting me is like it feels like if this bad guy didn't see value in me, like, and I am pretty and I work out and I'm successful and I'm like I am a great woman, but if this bad guy treated me like I had no value when he is not very like high, like how is a good guy going to see my value? That's like what I think where my mind is going.
You have to make a guy see your value. Listen, no guy, you could be the most beautiful woman in the world, okay? But if a guy's able to sweet talk your pants down in 2 months, he's not going to respect you.
Well, I thought we were like engaged and stuff. Like it was really stupid. It was I just haven't had I hadn't had relationships since I got saved like at all. So It was like my first relationship as a Christian, and like he said he prayed about it and blah blah blah. He asked me to marry him. Like all of that happened really quick.
Classic crazy talk from a psychopath. Yeah. That's you gotta like listen to that stuff and go, are you out of your freaking mind? You prayed and God told you, yeah, get her pants down. You've known her for 2 months. I mean, there's an aspect of, and like I said, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just saying think about when you use critical thinking skills in these situations. That's what this dude's doing. And in that moment, it's hard because I know he was probably some charming, good-looking dude, you know, coming up to you saying, hey, listen, I really prayed and God said it's okay, man. We can get it on tonight. Yeah, me and God, we're close, man. We're close. We're close. But what are you wearing tonight? Hey, why don't you wear a short skirt? Yeah, God said it's okay. God said it's okay. Listen, they're going to say all that, but you have to know in your heart, no. That's I don't roll like that, right? That's not what God tells me. Right? And when it comes to understanding when a guy is going to value you, how do you know if a guy is going to value you? You don't. You have to make sure that happens. You have to put the value on yourself. A guy is only going to value you as much as you value you. So here's what a dating situation could look like. Let's say you meet Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Charming. He's got his greasy hair and his muscles or whatever, right? And he's coming up and he's like, "Hey girl, you know," and you're like, "Oh, okay, all right, here we go. You want to go on to have some coffee or whatever?" Sure. You go on a coffee date or whatever. And you know, he starts to put it on, you know, he starts to make his little comments, right? Which typically guys will do. It'll start to get into the sexual area and this and that. And you can play along with it and but say no, have a hard boundary. So when are we gonna do? No, I don't know you. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we could joke. I get it. You got a good sense of humor. I do too. But we're not going there. I don't know you like that. Listen, and if you are able to maintain this and hold a guy at a safe distance for a long time, long enough for you to really know who and what you're dealing with, then you can have the power in that relationship to make that work, right? And listen, there will come a time when a guy will be like, listen, if we can't have a intimate relationship, then you must not be attracted to me. And they'll try and play that mind game with you. They'll do whatever they can. But listen, and I'm going to give you a secret right here. You as a woman, you can have power over a guy with just the way you talk to him. Okay? And if you want to earn the respect, you can learn this. You can let a guy know vocally that you're attracted to him without taking your clothes off. You can say, no, I'm very attracted to you. You're a good-looking guy, right? And you could say it in a way that he's going to be like, it's going to make his heart beat. It's going to be like, wow, man, that's cool. Thank you. You'll make his day. Listen, I was in the store once. Some random woman came up to me, kid you not, I'm on this, and I was on the phone, and I'm pushing the cart, and some random woman said, you're a good-looking guy. And then she just kept going around the corner, and I mean, I'm married, but still, it felt good. Oh my gosh! I'm like, I haven't heard that in forever. It made my night. So there's power in just your words. So you can say, no, I'm very attracted to you, and that's gonna make a guy feel good. And guess what? If he's a good guy and he really likes you, he's gonna hang around for a few more months, and then he'll get frustrated. A few months down the road. Listen, we've been dating. I've been buying coffee for you for 6 months now, and we don't have sex or anything. How do I know you just don't like sex, right? And play that guilt trip on you. And then, once again, using using language, you can say, no, listen, are you kidding? I'm a beast, dude, okay? You and I've said this before on this live stream, but you can say things like, listen, you won't walk when I'm done with you, right? But I don't know you. We're not married. You're not my husband, right? We're not there yet. And if it's a good guy who is a hardworking, stable-minded individual, he's going to be so enthralled, right, at just how you communicate with him. And he's going to be learning about you and how you communicate. And you're going to be learning about him and how he communicates. And you're going to do this dance for a year. And then say, you know what? Man, we've been holding out. We've been together for a year, right? Talking, getting to know each other. I think you're the one, right? I hope you're the one. Let's get married. And guess what? But in this, you've created a mutual respect and a power dynamic that is together. And then you get married, if that's the route you want to go. Then you have that solid foundation. Then you have a commitment. And then, not only that, but you've already begun on your side the process of sharing power with him. You didn't let him make you take your pants off after 2 months. You made him dance with you. Do you follow me? And this is how you make a mutual relationship, a mutual respect, and you grow and you build a life together. And that's just the Royal We perspective on what an idea, a good idea of what it could look like, right? Now, can this happen in reality? I don't know, because I don't know what your interactions are with guys, but from the sounds of it, you meet a guy, they're good looking, 2 months, and he says some slick words, and I know it's difficult, but listen, absolutely, a guy that wants to get in there and that fast, start doing the no pants dance with you, he only wants that one thing, and this is why they're able to move on to another girl, and it has nothing to do with your value. It's that you made yourself easily available in that way, right? Whereas if you would have held out with this particular dude, said, no, we're not doing that. We can joke around, but I don't know you. Chances are you would have watched him flee and run away. He would have been like, oh man, I'm bored. I'm out. Peace out. And yeah, it would hurt, but at least you'd be able to, it would hurt differently. See, right now you're hurt because you gave the best you have to give. What more do you have than your body? That is the holiest. That is the most beautiful. That's your everything in this life, right? So at least if they go away because they think you're boring or you're a prude, let them go thinking that. You'll get over that in a couple of days. You'll be like, okay, that guy just wanted another creep, right? He just wanted that one thing.
Yeah.
It's easier to get over that than to say, okay, yeah, you can have my everything. I'll give you my world. Please don't go anywhere. I know we've only known each other for 2 months, but I'm going to give you my world, and I'm going to trust that you're going to take care of me forever. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You need to find out for sure that they're really a man that's going to take care of you forever. Then you can give, and then you can talk about giving them your world, because your world is valuable. It is so valuable. There's one thing I wish I could tell every single woman out there, is that you have so much more power than you realize when it comes to men. The reason men work hard and get money is so that they can have a woman, right? But the problem is that, I mean, you're so desired by men. You have no idea. Like I was trying to tell you how your words can do magic for a guy. You have to understand that us men, when we're young boys, we relied on our mother to tell us verbally. There was no intimacy in that. It was just all verbal. The mother giving encouragement. You look good. You did good, right? We need that in our lives. And if women just knew this, you can form such amazing relationships with guys just by doing that, just by nurturing, right? Let me pour your coffee for you. Let me get you something. Are you hungry? Let me get you something to eat. Man, you look good. Without even giving your world away, you can make such good friends, and men need that, and men in the world desire the comfort and the intimacy of a woman like you would not believe. So you are an amazing prize for a good man, but you have to know that. You have to see that. And the next time some dude comes around and after 2 months is trying to get you to give him your world, you have to understand that. Listen, are you kidding? Every man wants this, what you're after right now. Why would I give it to you? What are you doing for me? Okay? And if it doesn't balance out, right? Then don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go there. Say no. And it's hard, especially if you've already been down that path and been down that road. It's hard to say no. But if you practice starting now, it's no. But if you want, we can go hang out, have some more coffee next week. I'm down. And by the way, I think you're cute. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
I hope that helps. But aside from all that, like I said, you are forgiven. I know it hurts. It hurts bad. Nobody wants to feel like we're not cared for, we're not valued, and we're not loved, especially when we do our best. And that's what narcissistic abuse is. What you experienced is narcissistic abuse. And for some of us, it's in that intimacy. In some cases, it's not. It's just family relationships, and we're trying our best to make the other people happy so that they'll be nice to us. And we get crapped on because we realize that we extended ourselves without even knowing what we were extending ourselves into. Right.
Okay, well, thank you. That is very helpful. I appreciate it.
Right on. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye. All right. That was a good call, and I hope it made sense. Hope it made sense to you all in the chat room there as well. Yeah, it's always difficult. Just looking at some of the comments, it's always difficult when I come across and talk to girls, because I had a call, an appointment the other day with another gal. Same thing. This guy was involved in church. I met a guy in church and started. Come to find out, at first she was reluctant. I say that right? Reluctant to share the real issue, but she was talking about the narcissistic abuse, the guy devaluing this and that, how they met in church, and she didn't want to say. Finally, I got out of her at the end of the phone call that they were intimate, and she went down that road with the guy from church. She started to get sexual, and when she said that, the floodgates just opened up, and she just broke down and started crying, and her biggest question was, is she redeemable? And it broke my heart, the fact that lured into this relationship with promises and this and that, kind of put into the situation where it's difficult to say no. And she went along with it. And now the guy bounced because he's just out there to get whatever he can get. And she's left, picking up these pieces. And it's hard. It's hard, to know that you're forgiven, to know that you gave the best you can give. And, I'll be honest with you. When I was younger, I was in college. I wasn't innocent. I'm not. And I didn't look at it the same way. I didn't. I was out like other 20-something-year-old guys, and we were going to clubs and stuff too. And I can't believe I didn't see it then the way I see it now. On the other side, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm a father now and I have a daughter. I don't know, but I see it differently. I see it as wow. Back then you'd hear churches and people and pastors saying, "Don't have sex, don't do it." It's great, but don't do it. Save it till marriage. Save it to marriage. And when you're young and dumb, you're like, why? What's up? It's fun. This and that. But then now, when I'm on this end and I'm getting these phone calls of people who are broken, I get it now. Man, I get it. It has nothing to do with just being some hardened rule to take people's fun away. You can't have sex because we don't want you to have fun, doggone it. It's not that at all. It's because that we live in a day and age where that becomes the only thing that is being pursued, not the person, right? So as you allow that into your life, you're allowing that one thing to be pursued, but not you, right? So that's what we have, a culture of people who aren't pursuing a person for love. They're pursuing an act. And it leaves just a broken trail of a mess. And anyhow, heartbreaking. Hope that makes sense to y'all. D says, wouldn't you think a guy that is 37 with a 7 and 10-year-old would at least have his act together? You would think. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, listen up, y'all. Listen up. I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. I'm going to say goodnight to y'all. Happy Monday night. And I'll be back next Monday. You can watch out. Be on the lookout because I am going to be putting a brand new video out on the Organic Royal We channel. In this next video, I'm going to have some more creative aspects to it. I'm going to give you a heads up on what the topic is. I think I mentioned it last week. I'm going to be talking about the so-called Antichrist and going to be comparing that to narcissism, or comparing narcissism to the so-called Antichrist. In other words, I want to give you a different perspective, a different way of looking at narcissism, which is a great way to want to stay away from narcissism altogether. So be on the lookout for that. It should be out probably Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, be on the lookout for that. And who said cue the music? If I can find the music, see if I can find the music. Yes, I got the music right here for D and for Tanya. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Visit www.jointheroyalwe.com for those of you who want to schedule some one-on-one appointment time, talk through some issues. And everybody have a great week. And we'll see you next Monday night live right here on the Royal We. Good night.